Hey everyone, I'm Mike Witt with Kontek Industries, and today we're actually going to go do some ballistic glass testing on 3 different levels of glass. The first one that we have out with us today is UL 752 level 4, and then our next set of glass is going to be NIJ 4 rated glass. Last piece being UL level 10 glass. So the first piece of glass we're testing today is UL level 4 glass. This glass is rated for a single shot of 30-06 ball at approximately 2,700 feet per second. The second piece of glass we'll be testing today is NIJ rated level 4 glass. This is rated for a single shot of 30-06 AP ammunition at approximately 2,800 feet per second. The third piece of glass we're testing today is 50 cal rated glass UL 10, and that is rated for a single shot of 50 cal ball ammunition at approximately 3,000 feet per second. So during our ballistic testing today, it's not going to be your standard laboratory style testing. We already get certifications from the lab of what they're capable of in terms of maximizing their performance against the rating scale of the UL 752 scale as well as the NIJ rating scale. So what we're going to do today is actually a across the board synchronous test for testing not only force entry, which we'll be doing with our crowbar here, but we'll initially hit with force entry. We'll do 4 strikes, and then from there we're going to move to pistol and rifle rounds. So during that process we're going to be shooting 5 rounds of 9, 5 rounds of 45, and then scaling up to 5 rounds of AK, 5 rounds of AR-15, 5 rounds of 308. So for each of the different levels of glass that I discussed, we're going to be seeing how they perform in a real world scenario and where their failure points actually occur during that process. So for our very first test, we're going to start off with our lowest level rated glass, which is UL level 4 that we have with us today. This is rated for a single shot of 30-06 ball ammunition. We're going to be doing a multi-strike capability test for both force entry as well as pistol and rifle rounds. So again, we're looking to test on actual real world scenarios and looking where failure points actually occur. And we have our nice ballistic gel head back here. Really the intent, obviously, if we get a true failure all the way through, he's going to be taken out. But what we're really looking for is pre-failure, is what kind of shrapnel pieces we're getting off the polycarbonate on the interior spall shield. So this right here has 4 layers. It has a layer of glass, another layer of polycarb, another layer of glass, and then the interior spall shield. And overall thickness is going to be a lot thinner than the NIJ 4 glass we're testing later, and much thinner than the UL 10 level glass we're testing as well. So we're definitely expecting to see earlier failure points on this level of glass. But again, this is a good entry-level glass when you're looking to get into rifle calibers to protect your facility. So we're going to test this piece of glass out and see how it performs. So for our test today, this is the array of weaponry and force entry tools that we're going to use to defeat the glass and see what the failure points actually, when and where they occur. So like I mentioned, we're going to be first doing a force entry of using the crowbar, and then we're going to escalate the caliber and velocity of our weapon system. So we'll be starting with a 9mm Glock, moving to a 45 Springfield XD, and then kind of ramping it up to our AR-15, AK-47, and our SOCOM 16, which does 308. These fun little gadgets we have here at the end, those are just gonna be for fun at the end to really see what the capability is in the UL 10 glass. So we have 50 cal BMG, we have a 50 cal muzzle loader, as well as our gorgeous 50 cal DE that we have over here. So again, we'll be doing 4 strikes with the crowbar, moving to 5 shots of 9, 5 shots of 45, and then 5 shots on each subsequent rifle that we have right here for our actual test. When we get to the NIJ 4 and the 50 cal, our intent is once we get to the 308, we're gonna shoot to failure. Depending on where we get on the 50 cal glass, we've had it where it's been 30 rounds, we've had it when it's been in excess of 100 rounds. So we'll kind of see how that goes during our test. But that's the plan, and we're looking forward to see what happens downrange. All right, so to kick off our test, we're gonna start with our force entry strike test on the UL level 4 glass here. We'll be striking it with the broadside of the crowbar, 4 strikes center mass, and then we'll transition over to the pistol shots. So without further ado, we'll get this started. Ooh, yeah, so you can see right here, it's already punctured the spall shield. There's a nice little divot in there. We definitely already got some frag to the face. You can see little pieces right here just from those 4 strikes. So we'll shoot it with some 9mm. I'll be shocked honestly if it doesn't penetrate just on the 9. So we'll see. So right now we're about to start with 5 shots of 9mm from 15 feet from our target. So we're gonna put 5 rounds center mass and see what happens. Range is hot. All right, so as you can see back here, we already have a lot of spalling occurring, a lot of glass fragmentation. From what I can tell, we don't actually have any penetration from the rounds themselves. And actually, if you come to the front side, you can see some of the rounds that got captured. So you can see the Lexan layers, the polycarbonate layers actually eating up the rounds right there. So as of right now, we don't have a penetration, but obviously we have a lot of glass spall coming off the back. All right, so next year we're gonna be moving forward with 5 rounds of 45 ACP out of the XD Tactical. So we'll put 5 rounds, same thing. We're gonna be going for the mass of the headspace and see what we get on the other side. Range is hot. So again, what we see up here, it looks like it ate pretty much all of the rounds here. I just took a peek out behind the glass and don't see any penetration from the rounds themselves, just increasing the spall mass across here. So we have all these fine pieces of glass and polycarb mixed in. The face is peppered pretty good. Obviously in a real world scenario, you would hope your face isn't staying there for that long, but you can kind of see the effects of the glass itself. So we've gotten through our pistols, so 5 rounds of 9, 5 rounds of 45, and now we're gonna move over to the rifles. For the next segment of our test, we're gonna move to 5 rounds of AK 7.62 by 39. So again, we'll be doing 5 shots. We'll be looking to see what the effects are on the glass and to see if we have any penetration. Again, just as a reminder, the lab test states that this glass is rated for a single shot of 30-06 ball. We have 1, 2, 3 penetrations of the 5 rounds. This one center mass was on target, kind of skipped the top of his head. So pretty much the result of this test is, you'll see when we compare to other versions of glass that are a lot thicker, the multi-hit capability obviously increases the more and more mass obviously you have in your glass system. But this is a pretty cool test to see. You know, after kind of the effects, I was actually shocked by the amount of cracking and penetration we actually had just on the crowbar test itself. You're able to see the lower velocity rounds and the mass of the pistol rounds, it's still able to eat that up. But once we get into the higher velocities, the exceeding 2,000 feet per second at 7.62, we started getting penetration. So overall, I think a pretty cool test. And we'll see how the NIJ4 and UL10 glass holds up. All right, so we're on to the next phase of our test. Now we're testing NIJ level 4 rated glass. In particular from the laboratory, this is designed and rated to stop a single shot of 30-06 AP. Kind of like we did with the other pane of glass, and what we'll do with the 50 cal glass is the same sequence. We're gonna be doing 4 strikes with the crowbar, broadside, and then escalating up through the pistol ammunition and then into the rifle. Once we get to the rifle, our expectation is to make it all the way to the 308 from the SOCOM 16, and we're gonna try and shoot to failure and see what we get. So we'll keep our round counts and put that up on screen for you guys. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and begin the strike test, 4 strikes with the crowbar. Well, as you can see right there, significantly less damage than we saw on the UL4 glass. We really just have some chips taken out of the front pane of glass on the mirror tint. Outside of that, some of these aesthetic cracks on the inside were actually, this is a scrap piece we had in our yard. So it already has some cracking on the interior of the spall shield, but that was already here when we started the test. So again, really just some surface aesthetic level cracking on the front side. So this would take a lot more to punch through this NIJ4 glass. All right, so now on the NIJ4 glass, we're gonna do our 5 shots of 9 mil. All right, next we're gonna be doing 5 shots of 45 on the NIJ4 glass. No penetration, obviously. If you want to come take a quick look, again, we're seeing pretty superficial divots into the front layer of glass. You might be able to see down the side, but we're really just getting into that first pane of glass right there. And then the spall shield, the protected side, is completely clean and clear right now. And that's after 5 shots of 9, 5 shots of 45, and 4 crowbar strikes. All right, here we're doing the same test, 5 shots of AK. right, so after the 5 rounds of AK, we can see cracking all the way through the back pane. So we're starting to get a lot of energy transfer through the glass. Right here we have the spall shield doing what it's intended to do, which is that final layer of polycarbonate. And so that is going to capture a lot of our energy here on the back face. We start seeing some dimpling here, so that's be pretty common to see. Once we get into the 5 rounds from the 308 from the SOCOM, I still think I have high confidence even after those 5 more shots it's going to be perfectly intact. We'll just see a lot more dimpling on the backside. Actually, what we're going to be doing is moving to 5 rounds of 5.56, and then we'll transition to 5 rounds of 308 from the SOCOM 16 and then shoot to failure. Like I just mentioned, we're actually transitioning to 5.56, so 5 shots of 5.56 on target. We'll see what happens. So you can see from back here, we're shot 5.56 at a higher velocity than the AK is, so we're pushing anywhere from 25 to 2,700 feet per second on the SBR. And so back here, you really have 0 additional deformation than from what we saw from the AK. So what we'll do is we're gonna move to the SOCOM and do the same thing. All right, so we just shot 5 shots of the 308 from the SOCOM 16. So we're gonna come over here and take a look and see what we got. Wow, so over here we actually have at least 2 penetrations up top. I was honestly expecting to see it actually make it through the 5 rounds and we shoot to failure after that. So it's a little surprising there. We tried to spread our shots a bit over, about a 12 by 12 area. So with that being said, we did get penetration on here surprisingly. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna shift down and do a shoot to failure and actually target for the head specifically and see how many rounds it takes to actually get effects on target for a kill shot. All right, so now we're doing the shot to failure, actually targeting for the head space itself on our target downrange. To spread the love in the range time, we got a better looking brother over here who's a much better shot, so we're actually gonna task him to do this properly, and I was forced and paid to actually say that. None of those things are true. So anyways, Brandon, go ahead and shoot to failure, and we'll look downrange and see if we get penetration on the head. That was NIJ4 glass, and that was 308 was the caliber shot out of a SOCOM 16. My bet is on the 50 cal, we break it at, I'm gonna go 28. Price is Right rules. So here we are for our 3rd and final battery of tests. So this is the UL10 50 cal glass. Has a mirror tint paint on it. We're gonna go through the same exact process. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with our 4 strikes of force entry with the crowbar, and then we'll facilitate the pistol and rifle shooting. Once we get to the rifle, I expect us to shoot to failure on the 308 and see how many rounds it takes. All right, well, as we can see, it didn't even puncture all the way through the mirror pane, which is really there for aesthetic, for guard booths or vehicles or anything you're running in. So it's gonna be a long time before we punch through this. So let's go have fun. All right, so we just finished up with 5 shots of 9 and 5 shots of 45. As expected, is minimal damage to the glass. Spall shield's completely clean, and we have cracking on really the outer 2 most layers of the glass. So it's going to be a while before we punch through on any rifle rounds. But again, I think my expectation is once we get through the 5 of AK, 5 of the 5.56, and 5 of the 308 from the SOCOM, I think we're still going to get an additional 20 to 28 rounds on target with the SOCOM until we actually get penetration and knock him out. We are completely clean on the spall side. We don't have any dimpling or anything like that. We can see cracking all the way up to the inner layer of glass to the spall shield, but the spall shield still remains unaffected. So we'll move to 5.56. Yeah, so looking back here, we have no effect. We have a little bit of extra cracking on the interior layer, but we're getting actually a lot more, at least on the surface layer, what seems to be energy transfer from the AK seems to be doing a lot more damage to the glass than the 5.56 did. So now we'll move to 308 and do 5 shots, and then we'll shoot to failure. Essentially a slight, a large but not very deep dimple across the top pane of the glass. Overall, it's still relatively intact and clean. Now we're going to shoot to failure. Again, I think we're at 20 plus rounds to actually make this thing fail. All right, so we finished our test going through the shot sequence, and now we're going to shoot the 50 glass to failure. We have a 20 round mag loaded here. So we're going to shoot the 20 rounds and see if we can get a failure out of the glass. Well, as you see back here, really, again, still solid integrity across the spall shield. That like large surface area dimple that's not too far set back, again, that was kind of already there on the initial 5 round attack we did with the SOCOM. So we put in an additional 20 rounds. Really the only change since the last one is this, this white cracking area, that frosting you see has really expanded, but other than that, the glass is pretty much as it was from the previous 5. So we're gonna do another 20 and see what happens. All right, so here we're going for our next battery of 20 rounds. So this will be shot count 20 through 40 of additional failure rounds. Clear. All right, we actually did get penetrations on here. So we actually have 3 up top right here that punctured through. If you see the front, you can actually see all the delamination on the front side. So you can see where the polycarbonate is spreading apart because all the glass in between is degraded. So we'll have to review the video and see if we can capture when those failures actually occurred in that 20 shot sequence. But we can safely say, right, that you know, we got 20 plus additional rounds on top of our initial test. So I think what we're gonna do for fun now is we have a fun little 50 cal muzzle loader, and we're just gonna put this thing through the ringer and make this guy disappear.
So I'm Alec Baird, and they brought me out here to shoot this old thing. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. We'll see what happens. Where did I hit it? Oh, did I hit it up high here? This is dope. Somebody else want to give it a shot? I'll load it up. Shot.
All right, guys, well, a quick recap of what we just did. We brought out 4 different levels of glass, essentially a light, a medium, and heavy, right? It's UL4, NIJ4, UL10/50 cal rated glass. What we saw was kind of along the lines of what we expected. On the UL4 side, I personally was actually a little shocked about the amount of damage we just got from the force entry test. We shot through both pistols on there, it passed, we got to the AK, and it failed during the AK portion. We scaled it up to the NIJ4 level, and that passed all the way through up until the final round of SOCOM rounds from the 308. I was actually expecting that to fully pass the test on the multi-hit capability, but we got a few rounds through on the 5 shots at 308. As you just saw at the end of the video, if you watched all the way through, we just did the test on the 50 cal. Of course, it performed well beyond what we'd even expect. Essentially, we went through our entire test battery, did an additional 20 plus rounds of 308, plus an additional few more on top of that until we actually got a penetration or a failure on the glass. And then we just kind of rocked it with some musket muzzleloader 50 cal, some Desert Eagle, which actually got a penetration on it. And then, as you see there, we just went ham on our test dummy. So I hope this gives some perspective to you guys. When you see like level 4 glass, you need to be sure that you're actually following the UL standard or the NIJ standard, because you saw between the 2 tests there's a drastic difference in the NIJ4 versus the UL4 glass. Obviously, thicker is typically better. It typically lines up with the composition and makeup of that glass, but please do your research, understand what the lab tests say. Obviously what we did here was drastically different from the lab test, but putting it through a sequence of tests against firearms and velocities that you'd see on the street and actually see what the real world performance looked like. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, reach out to us at info@kontekindustries.com or follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Thanks.